Well, we have often heard that there are people who want to do it, people who wish they could have done it, and then we have people who go out there and do it. And we have two speakers here today who have done just that. They have gone out there and done what they wanted to achieve. And I think there's a lot of similarities actually, because Captain Gopinath began his career in the services, then he became a farmer, and then an entrepreneur. And Aparna, I think you began as an architect. You have a bachelor's in architecture, and then you moved on to the world of cinema. You became a performer. So how has the journey been?
I think it has been incredible, and architecture is very closely related to art, and that's the main reason why I chose architecture in the beginning. But still, cinema was a very unexpected turn in my life. I think by now you all will be familiar with Unnimaya. She's an actress. Her husband is Shyam Pushkar, and that one person changed my life initially by calling me to do Maheshna Pradigaram. And then years later, again, Surarai Potra became a huge milestone in my life. So the journey has been very rocky and very tough personally, but I think it has, I faced a lot of challenges. Now I'm like really rooting for my career, and I'm so passionate about it that I really am ready to, do whatever I can to work, however I can to go there on top.
And yes, Captain, I'm sure the audience would love to hear the transitions that you have made, the leap of faith you have taken more than once.
Yeah, I think, let me quote one of the greatest film icons and film legends who came from a very poor family, who failed again and again. And he said, if you can dream it, you can do it. And he also said that a good hard failure in life, if you're lucky, when you're young, if you can have a good hard failure, it is the best stepping stone to success. And it's true for many of us, may not be in big ventures, but even in your life, sometimes you dream of something and subconsciously you're working towards that dream and you realize that dream. So you have to dream and you have to become obsessed with that dream, almost to the point of madness, so that you become the dream and the dream becomes you. And then everything falls in place to realize the dream. And I was in a village and I studied in a village school. I went barefoot to a school. Then I joined the army. I was in the Bangladesh war. I was in Srinagar. I was in Kashmir. I was in Pakistan. Indo-Pakistan war in the Bangladesh border. Then I came and took to farming because I always dreamt that a farming life is good life. So after 8 years of army life, I was also posted here for 1 year in Trivandrum. I had a glorious time here, 2 years. Then when I took a premature release, I was thinking of all the time, because I was in the mountains, I must go and get some lands in the mountains and take to farming. And it so happened that because I was looking for it all the time, dreaming of it, it came to a reality. But as she said that, I failed, and I failed repeatedly, not once. But I think the art of life and the art of business is to fall each time you rise. You're a failure only when you give up. You're not a failure as long as you're trying. And someone said, the surest way to succeed is to try one more time. So I kept at it in whatever I wanted to do, and I continued to do. And I had no timeline. If I was passionate about something, I completely immersed myself into that, to the exclusion of everything. Of course, sometimes it hurts other people. It, sometimes you lose friendships, but then you are not aware of something. You must try to be good. You must try to be a good human being. But when your dream takes over, I said it yesterday also when Leonard Bernstein, the great violinist, some youngster went and asked him, "I want to be a violinist." He said, "If you want to be a violinist, you will not be asking questions, you will be playing." So whether it is Bhimsen Joshi or Chambai Bhagavatar here or Raikudi Ramanujayengar or any of the people or any people of the A.R. Rahman, all of them, rose to the top because they dreamt big and then they committed to their dreams. So I think she lived that part well.
Well, Aparna, when the captain speaks about failure, I don't think you have tasted much of failure in your career because you had a dream project to begin with. You were given the Best Debut Award, and then you went on to win the National Award at a very young age. And I think the challenges begin now, don't they? Because now when you're offered these women-centric roles, especially in a very male-dominated industry, and it's very paradoxical because Kerala, the majority, you have women in the majority, they are educated, but still, you still talk about, women-oriented films as if that is a deviance. How do you deal with it? And do you think that a lot of responsibility rests on your shoulders to make the film a success in this intensely patriarchal industry?
So to begin with, I have actually faced a lot of failures because it's very easy to, do one film and it can be a huge success, but it's not easy to maintain the success. I've had a lot of poor choices in my career. I think most of them must be knowing it here. So my choices came from a very immature mind where I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to select a script. So that's why I was talking about my paths being, not so smooth. It's always easy to, do a movie, be successful. Even so, starting with Maheshandra Pradigaram, it was a huge success. And I got one more. Sunday Holiday was also a huge success. But then to maintain that success was not easy for me. And to be very honest, it was Surare Potra that again changed my life with another huge success in my career. And it led to National Award. But again, now it has become, the pressure has doubled. It has never been easy. I think now it's even more difficult to, try to prove, that you are good at this and that's why you got the award. The pressure is really hard to, take sometimes as an actor because for me, the main thing is, as a person who does different roles, it's very easy to reach a level of saturation. Or I've mostly, thought, how do I make this different? Or how do I make my next role different? Because it's the same face, again, in every movie. So it's quite difficult for me to judge sometimes. And the most helpful, thing which has come across my life was an acting workshop Kalerani ma'am gave me during Surare Potra, which actually really changed a lot, lot in my acting, my skill, as in the skill and whatever I was doing. I had a reboot, I had a restart in my whole acting career with that workshop, which again I could move forward with Sundari Gardens and all. And it's very difficult, like how you asked, it's always very hard to even mention, like it's a woman-oriented film. You don't even have to mention that actually, because recently I watched Wakanda Forever, and I think nobody called it a woman-centric film. Nobody called it a woman-oriented film or anything. I don't think even the script writers must have pitched it like that, because we never knew. We just enjoyed the film because of the script, because of the strong characters everyone portrayed in the film. And I think that's the kind of guts I would like to, take in my industry, or I would like my fellow, artists to take up in this industry. I don't think we even need to, call a film as a woman-centric or a women-oriented film. You can just call it a cinema. You can just call it a film, and you can just mention the actor's name, anyone for that matter. I would like to see that
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that is something all of us would love to see. And I'm sure, I mean, both of you share another trait in common. You're extraordinarily hardworking. And Aparna, just to complete this about the movie Surai Potra, you had to actually learn the Madurai dialect.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure you must have spent a lot of time reading Simplify also. So can you tell us about the research that went into this? Especially this becomes very interesting because you have the person on whom the biopic is made sitting right next to you.
Actually, initially the brief was given by Sudha ma'am, and I think she wanted to have her own version of, Mara and Bhumi. And I think that was highly reflected on the script also, because my character she was very adamant about this character. She didn't want to compromise anywhere on any dialogues, on any scenes with this character. So I think, of course, and simplify. But, she mainly wanted me to focus on the script than the book, because she wanted to have her own perspective about the movie. So that's how we worked. And like I said, the acting workshop, and the script reading sessions helped me a lot as an actor, because when I went on board in front of the camera, I was already half Bhumi. Only on set we had to, improvise a little bit on our actions and everything, which, made it much more easier, because a movie like Surai Potra we shot in 60 days, and that's only because of pre-production works and whatever preparation Sudha ma'am took. I think that's quite important for a movie, and it makes things much easier on set.
And Captain, you have a reputation for being a very tough negotiator, a very hard-working person. And in Simplify, there's a juxtaposition where you deal with Vijay Mallya, completely in contrast, very flamboyant. And you've written in other articles also about the difficulties that you had to go through when these negotiations were going on. Could you talk about that, please?
Yeah, I mean, in my time, I met a lot of, because of the airline and the nature of that business. When the airline became very big and very famous and glamorous, I met a lot of celebrities, including industrialists, from the Ambanis to the Tatas to Birlas and others. And I think the most interesting character as a person was Mallya, because here I was, a poor village boy who went to the army, then gave up everything, went to farming, and nobody expected, and I started an airline, a helicopter company first, and then an airline. So, and I was so passionate about my idea. It was very difficult for people to deal with me, because I was not easily browbeaten, I was not easily glamorized, because I had believed deep in me that for India, for the airline to succeed, it has to be a low-cost airline, because less than 0.5% of India was traveling by air, and 99.5 were traveling by bus and train. And then I came and said, everyone must fly. So they were not able to deal with me, existing competitors like Jet Airways. And when Deccan became overnight a huge success, and we became the largest airline, obviously people who are successful in other businesses, were already traditional old-time businessmen, wanted to meet me, cuddle up to me, and some of them wanted to buy me out. And so when I met Mallya for the first time, many years ago, he sent for me, and he was sitting actually when I met him. He was sitting on a swing which had a silver um, um, on it, with silver chains, and he had a stool there made of silver, and he was sitting there with a cigar. And he's a very charming man and very gracious host, and he can easily bowl anybody off the feet, because he was really the king of good times, because the kind of life he lived, a lot of people have money, but the kind of life he lived, he had helicopters, personal jets, he had yachts, and he was a very colorful person. So he sent for me, and I went and met him, because earlier, about 4 or 5 times, I had sort of dismissed him in the press, saying that he's a spoiled kid. So he wanted to sort of win me over, and he called me, and he says, "Gopi, why don't you let me invest in your airline?" He didn't say, "I want to buy you out," because that's insulting. He said, allow me to invest in your airline." And I said, "We are two different species," I said. I'm from the Mars and you're from the Venus. And that's how it ended. So we used to meet for drinks, and he would come home for dinner and I would go there. But I never allowed him to come near the airline, because I knew that he wanted to acquire the airline. But he was also a very determined man. He had a lot of wealth, because he had 2 liquor companies which had 55% of the market share. And the point came when I was trying to get investments into the company. It's a long story, but to cut it short, I ended up allowing Malya to invest, because whatever I asked in terms of the share price, whatever I demanded in terms of, he never said no to anything. In fact, we did the deal in 45 minutes, and he invested 1,000 crores. Actually, he was sitting in Monte Carlo on his yacht, and he called me from there when he had gone for the Formula One, and he said, "I would like to make the deal." And that's how it happened. But but when a person doesn't say no to anything that you ask, that means there is a sting in the tail. There is something, and that's exactly what happened. So he gave whatever I asked, but once he got in, he did not agree to the model that we had agreed on, that we had this one. He did not cheat me or rob me of my money, but maybe he robbed me of my dreams. Yeah.
Well, Aparna, speaking of negotiations, how much freedom do you have to negotiate with the script? I'm sure that not all movies are politically correct. Most of them are gender biased. Do you have, there is a gender bias in many movies. So how do you deal with that? If there is such a problem in the script, do you have the freedom to negotiate?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of things that have changed right now, in terms of, I think everybody is particularly, thinking about it and, writing right now, because we are having a lot of discussions about political correctness. And I think that's something people are actually taking care of, at least they're taking a conscious effort to, include it in their script. So I think right now, like how you asked, last time in one of my movies, when I felt something was not right, thankfully I had the freedom to go speak to my script writers and say that this is not what I'm going to say. Like how I said earlier, like just because it's a women-centric or the so-called woman-oriented film, I can't, simply speak dialogues for the sake of it. So that's something which I'm completely against, and that's something which I discussed about, with my script writers, and I had the freedom to correct it, and I told them this is not going to happen. I'm not going to say this dialogue. We have to change it in some other way, and we'll, make it a better sentence or a better thing to convey to the audience. And I'm happy that they were open to the suggestion, and yeah, we changed it. I think for me, most of my most of the team members I've had, they've been very open to suggestions, opinions, and changes, which was a very good thing. Which I felt like, you have a freedom to actually, say if you feel that it's not right, because finally on screen it's me who is representing whatever. Even if with Surare portrait, it's a very strong character, and a lot of women actually came and told me how inspiring it was for them to start a business or to actually be confident about their business. And also, I think it's very important that the face you show conveys a lot of message to the audience. So I think I'm personally happy that all the team members which I've had till now were open to the idea of suggestions and opinions, and I hope we have a team like that, because that's how it's easier to, in that way it's easier to work, because it's a movie, and it's definitely teamwork. We have a lot of people working, but every department together. I've personally felt like, if there's any small difference in opinion behind the screen, it'll definitely be shown, and it'll reflect on screen. So I think that's something very important, the teamwork we put in into a movie. So yeah, I've always had a bunch of great teams till now, and I hope that continues.
Well, yeah.
I think when she was talking about the women, I'm not getting into the aspect of, traditionally, this is what I read and heard from some people, that in the movies, the male actor, especially, for example, in Kannada and Hindi, which I know, usually, exerts pressure that he has to have the primacy, not as a female, but he's the hero, and he doesn't want too strong a female character. He doesn't want the female character to outshine, but to complement. So I'm not touching on that. You would know it better. But I think what Sudha did, and she brought it out in the film where she portrays my wife, is that in the typical Indian context, if in a middle class family, if the husband is the person who has a job, then the wife subsumes herself and makes her aspirations subservient to the husband's career. Many times she doesn't make it subservient. She doesn't have a dream of her own. Even if she has it, it has no opportunities, because the husband is so strong or such a good job, and she's just a housewife, but may be educated, may not be educated. The dialogue is that, you have to look after the kids and take care of the family. That's as important a job as a career. Of course, the husband also has to take care of the family and the kids. So the dialogue doesn't go there at all. It automatically revolves around the wife doing a job of taking care of the family, and it is justified as also a more noble. That's how the husband will say, you don't go to work, you don't start a business. But I think what happened in reality, which has not come out so well in the book, but it's come out very well in the movie, that what Sudha showed, and you did an excellent job, though there are a lot of dramatization and fictionalization of the movie, which I think was required up to your point. Some places maybe it was excess of distortion, but it has shown to women that you can complement or support your husband's dream without losing your own dream. You can be a strength to him, but don't erase your own identity. So I think that has come out very well, that she supported her husband in pursuing his dreams, and she did not give up her own dreams. And it is possible, of course, the husband can be nasty there, he can be a MCP, all those kind of things. But the woman also should assert herself in a manner where it doesn't break up the marriage, to say that you follow your dreams, I'll help you, but I should also pursue my own dreams. Like in my wife's case, she is educated in the sense of a BA, a formal degree, but she was much more educated as a person. She had self-assurance, she was quite capable in whatever she was doing. And I said yesterday, everybody has a man or woman has a power, has a talent, has a gift, which is unique. And that power and talent and gift has to be discovered by the individual. And many times the individual himself does not know what is that power that resides in him unless he embarks and explores that. So you have to discover your own power, and there's a magic to that ability to give wings to your dream, to do it. Because most of us dream of it, but we do not do it. So in my wife's case, I recognize that she had a great knack for managing the house, in terms of if I had suddenly brought about 10, 15, 20 people, without telling her, at 6 o'clock I'm bringing 10 people, she could cook up a meal without batting an eyelid. And it would be the perfect meal, very elaborate. So I felt that since she was an ordinary arts graduate, she was not an engineer, software engineer, I said, she must take up something. And I said, why don't you try bakery? And she went for a bakery course, and I helped her launch the bakery. But then I left her to herself, to fend for herself, just like a bird which, when on the first flight, the mother is not there. It jumps out of the nest high in the tree and discovers its wings as it flies, and also discovers its songs, which is the joy in life, only when it flies and not when it's in a cage. And that's what she did, and that has come out excellently in the movie, both by the director and her, that a woman can be the backbone of the husband, but need not be subordinate in any measure. Sometimes her dreams can excel that of the husband's, then the husband should accommodate in humility.
Well, Aparna, speaking of dreams, what are your dreams and what do you hope to do next? Would you turn to script writing or the technical side of movie making? Because you do have a lot of experience now.
I'm really not sure about that, but I am always curious to know what happens behind the screen. But like how I said, I've told about this in quite few interviews now. I think Maheshna Pradhigaram was for me it was something which I didn't expect in my life at all. But when it came to Surarai Portrait, it was something which I really needed in my life, and I worked really hard to do that character the way I did it. And from there, I genuinely started loving this profession. Till then I was a very confused girl who didn't know if I have to, if I should move on, if I had to go back to, if I should go back to architecture or if I should move forward with my acting career. I was really confused till Surarai Portrait happened. And when Surarai Portrait happened, I understood that this is how I can work for a movie, and this is how I should work for a movie. And that actually, gave me a lot of push, and the passion towards my career grew 1,000 times more than what I, had. And I'm not lying, because it was a completely unexpected thing in my life to come to this industry and work in the Malayalam film industry and then go to Tamil. So Surarai Portrait just reassured that, I can do that, I can do better, I can still improve. So when I started understanding that space in my life, my love for this career grew like crazy. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm still trying to explore every possibilities in acting, and then only move to any other department in, behind the screen. But I am a very curious person. Even now, for all the brainstorming sessions my friends sit down for a script writing session, I sit there. I'm very interested to give points about like the possibilities and pros and cons and everything. I think, yeah, that's exactly why I chose architecture. We have a very similar pattern of brainstorming and then coming to a design which with a concept. So I think that architect in me always, that lights up when I sit in a brainstorming session with my friends to discuss about a script or casting or anything for that matter. So I think right now I'm not thinking about anything other than acting, but yeah, I would love to, explore, or I would love to assist someone, a director, to know how that side of the movie works. So I'm a very curious person in that case.
Well, Captain, again coming back to dreams, you had this huge dream of democratizing commercial flying. We even had the R.K. Lakshman cartoon where, the ordinary man was sitting on an aircraft, which was something unthinkable in those days. And now when we see the prices of air tickets soaring and people stuck in places for holidays when they can't fly back home because of the rising airfare, do you think that dream has been lost somewhere? And if so, what is possible to revive that old dream?
Yeah, I think when I was coming in the car, the, who, there was another guest who was sitting in the car with me just now from the hotel, and he said, I traveled for the first time on a 501 rupee ticket on your airline many years ago, almost 50 years ago. He said, I have still preserved that ticket. He said, I'm going to send you, I think he's in the audience somewhere, I'm going to send you the picture of that 501 rupee ticket. Because, when Air Deccan started in 2003, every ticket, there were only 3 airlines, every ticket in India was about, let's say Bangalore, Delhi, was about 12,500 rupees each ticket. So if a husband, wife and kids go to Delhi and come back, it was 1 lakh. And I remember, because we started flights in Cochin and also Trivandrum, I had put 2 Airbuses here and 1 Airbus. Trivandrum, Delhi was something like about 28,000 rupees in those days. And there was no direct flight, and if you want to go to Delhi, from Trivandrum, it would take you all day because you had to go from here to Bombay, and from Bombay you had to get down and wait for another 1 or 2 hours, and then take another flight to Delhi, or go to Chennai to Delhi. So that was costing about 22. And when we started from here, and also in Cochin, the average price of a Trivandrum Delhi was about 4,000 rupees. But we also had about 50 tickets from 1 rupee to 3,000 rupees. And the average was coming to 4,000. So millions of people traveled. The idea of doing that was that an entrepreneur is not only does he build a product, you also have to be in the forefront of changing the consumer behavior. How do you get people who don't even dream of flying, how do you get them to fly? And in any case, in any aircraft, it never goes full. Even now, barring an odd day, there'll always be 5 seats, 10 seats, 20 seats, many places, 40, 50 seats. Most people don't fly on a Tuesday. Many do not fly on a Deepavali day or on a Christmas day in Europe. So flight is going empty. So suppose you say, I'm going to give away ticket at 1 rupee and 10 rupees. Then people who have never traveled will travel. They'll go at 1 rupee and then come back at 2,000 rupees. And also the business model has to reduce the price. And when you say reducing the price, one is a culture. That, like my father, I remember, I would send a car to him, he would say, no, I'll come by bus. That is culture. You leave the room, you switch off the light, you switch off the taps. That's a low-cost culture. But also low cost comes from innovation. Huge innovation, that what brings the cost down. So when I put the tickets on the internet for the first time, there were no e-ticketing in India. When I put the tickets for the first time, where every ticket has to be told on the internet, we straight away eliminated all the middlemen, all the travel agents and the whole lot of other system. And to get your own money from the travel agent, it would take 15 days to 1 month. And to get your own money, you had to pay 2% to an agency which used to control that. And the internet ticketing system was not there, so travel agents control the inventory. So some of these are innovations which you have not invented. Like Steve Jobs did not invent anything, but he put together the various inventions and changed the business model. That's the reason I said the low-cost airline is a Udupi hotel in the sky, because it's a it looks simple. Udupi hotel, Darshini is in Bangalore. You stand outside and eat, and there's a guy standing next to you because the idli is hot, and you are standing on a stool and eating, and he's pushing you to leave. Otherwise, if you go to the coffee day, you will sit there with a girl for a whole day chatting and doing your computer work. And whereas in Udupi hotel there's a footfall, and when then there's no real estate, there's no furniture, there's no interior decoration. All the costs will come down. Similarly, when I say I will not give you free food, I'll sell food, then you save straight away. In a big airline, you will save something like about 300-400 crores by giving free food. So all these things come, and the aircraft weight comes down, because if it's free food, the aircraft weight goes up. Then that means the fuel burn will come down. So what I'm trying to say is that right now, for various reasons which I won't go to get into it, the fares have gone up. It's still cheaper than what it was when only Jet Airways and Air India was there. But it's costly now, and I think there is a monopoly of sorts. There is a cartel of sorts, not deliberate, but it has happened. And government rules are very, very cumbersome, because when the rules are cumbersome, it increases costs. And the airports, we have got two monopolies. We have got the public sector government monopoly, which is inefficient, and we have the private sector monopolies, which are monstrous, which is a rakshas. So we need competition in all levels of aviation. And for example, Trivandrum and Cochin, they must have two airports. They should not have closed the old airport of Cochin when they opened a new airport. Just like in Bangalore, they shouldn't have closed the old airport when they opened a new airport, or in Delhi. All the great cities have 2, 3, 4, 5 airports. We have only one airport, which is a monopoly. So all these things, pushes up costs. I think some entrepreneur will come, and it's always the case. That is like a wave, Old order goes and the new order comes. Some entrepreneur, maybe from Kerala. In fact, some people came to me about a year ago and said, why don't we start Kerala Middle East low-cost airline with crowdfunding? I said, come here, we'll discuss. Because as you know, there's a huge population of people in Middle East, and this whole year they sweat, literally sweat, blood and tears. They save all the money and they blow it on. I'm talking about the people at the lower level of blue-collar workers, laborers, construction workers, bar benders, electricians, because they have not seen the family for 2 years, and everything is blown away in one air ticket. So it's a big tragedy, and the answer to that is competition and entrepreneurship and innovation and courage. And one more thing I want to say is persistence. Why I'm saying persistence? When Sudha came to me first time, I asking for the film rights of the book. I did not give her the rights. Actually, I gave, then she came and again, and I gave her the rights, and she said she's going to come with a producer, and she did not come and say cancelled her contract. But then after 1.5, 2 years, I gave the contract to Gunit Monga, the Hindi producer, with a specific condition: it has to be done in Hindi. Because Sudha came and said she wants to do it in Tamil. I was not keen at that time. I said, let it be a pan-India film. So I gave it to Gunit Monga, who eventually got it. Then she came with me, with Sudha. She came to me with Sudha and said, I said, look, I had already said no to her. She said, no, I have heard her. We'll do first in Tamil and then in. So that said, okay, she's not giving up. So I think it was more than talent, more than money, more than anything, your persistence, what they say in Hindi, chal, in Kannada they call hatha. Your persistence is more important than your talent. And even if you are talented, you will come to the top if you persist.